So today we have KiRa. This is the breathe artist behind Breathe in Light, which was video of the week a few weeks ago now, actually. But KiRa has another video coming up in a few months as well. And yeah, this is just basically chat to kind of get to know you, the artist behind the work, and what your inspirations are. So let's kick off with, what was your inspiration behind the particular video Breathe in Light that you submitted? Because it's quite an interesting one, full of facets and quite diamond looking. So I'd be interested to see the background behind it.
Yeah, that was actually based on nature footage. I usually like whenever I go to back to Russia in the summer, I take a camera and just explore nature, take different things. I think it was actually footage from one of those footages of nature of light, and I'm a video artist by background. Well, that's kind of my primary medium as an artist, and I always had a connection about the idea of visualizing breathing, and uh, my work is a lot about sort of connecting the inner state and the outer state, and I have thought about how to visualize breathing, and it felt like using kind of medium of sort of light reflections and in a video that responds to the optimal breath time would be, yeah. So that was one of my first experiments. Hence, it was interesting to come across the Syntropy code to find it in so accordance to something I've worked on.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it kind of matches up perfectly with the inspiration that you receive from nature, light, which obviously color is not possible without light, and the spectrum of color that comes from it as well. And this is what I find so amazing about kind of this process of reaching out to all these different artists, is that we're seeing such a huge selection of how people interpret breathing in different ways. And because of that, it's kind of a natural process of creation. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it can be, I guess, in so many ways. I guess for me, it's very much associated with light, because yeah, it's sort of it's something simple yet intricate and kind of primal force of being, isn't it? Like light is sort of something what we experience life as.
Definitely, it's a life force. Definitely. That's cool. And I know that you also have a really interesting side business called DeepSym, which is so it's an actual physical object, and it guides your breath through light and color being pasted in a certain way. So has that been a development on from obviously your artist practice, and then the project has developed because of that?
It's quite a long journey, and now it's getting actually quite exciting these days. I guess I can tell you, try to concise it. I've done that video, and I remember showing it in the festival, and someone was saying how if we actually had sensors, how it'd be nice if it actually reacts to breath. And I was like, well, yeah, of course, like I would love to do that, but I have no idea how. And then one time I met an engineer at some artist and science event, and I was talking about this idea, and he was like, "Yeah, you could do it like this." And then a few weeks later, I emailed him saying, "Well, let's do it." So we started exploring this idea about visualizing breathing. So the idea is that actually there's sensors that pick up belly breathing, and as you breathe in, the light responds to the breath. You're sending your breath as this light spiral to the other person. And I found it was also really interesting creating this connection through breath, through the simple act of breathing. This connection is beyond language or inhibitions. You're just primarily connecting to the person through breath. And then my idea was also that to create a more immersive space, so like a big dome that more people can be inside of, so it's more immersive. Even though the cocoon was sort of immersive in this way because you're looking into this inside thing, but with the dome it was for 8 people. And also the idea is, so each person's breath was different color LED light in petals. And when they synchronize breathing in terms of this rainbow flowers, so it's also about creating a breath, sort of a constant breathing pace that people can synchronize with. And I guess the idea was also how to create a kind of altered state of uh, consciousness of being, or I guess connecting to each other in this very primordial way through breath, and creating this sort of collective beautiful experience, which I managed to do on a few occasions, definitely in a festival in Spain, in the desert, and in some light festivals in UK and some music festivals, and then I also realized that people really benefit from just connecting to their breath. I mean, one, the way I designed the sensors, which also went through many different iterations, was that they're placed on the belly, so it's more about belly breathing rather than breathing through the chest, which is more sympathetic nervous system, and belly breathing is more parasympathetic, stimulates vagus nerve, and creates like a relaxed state. And I realized, people actually very often, well, one, they don't really think about breathing and breathing through their belly. So it's actually amazing educational too. And also how many people who came into the installation then told me how they felt so anxious before entering, and they were so overwhelmed with like festival, for example. And then after having this experience, they feel so much more relaxed and so much more in tune and connected, so that definitely, those kind of comments all made it worthwhile, for sure, all the stress of creating this huge installation.
Yeah.
And then I was working with someone in Royal College of Music who ended up being on this medtech hackathon, where she met a gastroenterologist who was interested in how deep diaphragm breathing helps IBS patients with their symptoms. And they talked about the fact that they had this idea, and I ended up being on this hackathon with one best speech of sort of adapting this technology, which I created to treating IBS patients, and we got a grant to develop the first prototype. So because I felt also with the festival environments, it's always this fleeting experience where people sort of come in and you have to create this immersive space, and also it's quite a lot of holding space, and it's nice to be able to create something compact that people can actually take away and have this experience in their homes. And to connect to breath or to connect to another person. You can also do multiple user with the jellyfish creature. I guess I can, unfortunately I don't have it with me, but I guess I can give you some videos to use.
Yes.
And right now, so it was a little bit slow because then I ended up trying to do it on my own, and I'm an artist, even though I should be kind of good at marketing or some kind of business, but it was completely new world for me and learning so much. And right now, last week, I got accepted at an accelerator. So hopefully Sim is coming to the world very soon.
That's awesome. What a journey. And it's trying to do that from, I kind of did a similar thing with trying to set up like this interactive installation where you involve people in this collective experience where they're affected individually and as a group. And then, it's fleeting, which is great for festivals, hospitals, so spaces where people need a respite. But to make that impact go further and more permanently, as you know, like breathwork needs to be practiced for. It's one of those magic things where it has an instant effect, but also the more you do it, the long-term effects then kind of take over. And it's so how to bring daily breathwork so it's engaging where people can continue back to it. So that's
Yeah.
awesome that you've made a product that people can use and engage with for that.
Yeah, and it's kind of taking out of sort of hardware medical technology, which is very dry and very like not inspiring, kind of, or sort of gadgets and biofeedback devices, and actually creating an aesthetic experience as well with it, like what you're doing with the app. So it's amazing synchronicity, I guess, in that way that
Absolutely.
coming across Syntropy.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that all artists should be in every type of industry. And to do
Sure.
just this, to be able to reimagine and connect with people, especially in the health world, where you're right, everything is so clinical and can be, intimidating.
Mm.
So yeah, I think it's the Artist One Society to build and engineer things to help to bridge the gap.
For sure. Yeah.
That's cool.
And artists should definitely be more appreciated in the world. Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like they like, I don't know, maybe I'm just being like eternally optimistic, but I feel like we are heading that way.
Yeah, hopefully.
Especially with the
Well,
rise of kind of digital art and
yeah.
how to
Well, like
put
in
that.
a platform that you've
Yeah.
created as well.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's really cool. Can I ask the breathwork techniques that you use? So we have a big focus on coherence,
Mm-hmm.
breathwork. Have you ever heard of coherence and heart math and where that came from?
The heart math.
Yeah,
The heart rate variability.
that's
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
it. So is it coherence that you focus on, or do you do like kind of lots of different breathwork techniques within DeepSym?
Yeah, I guess DeepSym is sort of. I mean, as well, I want to be able to maybe develop sort of an interface that kind of guides with a different type of breath work. I guess ideally it was more about slow deep diaphragm breathing, so and kind of basic pranayama breath work. So usually I would tell people to be 5 in, 5 out, or 5.5, which is 6 breaths per minute, the kind of ideal. So yeah, the idea of taking long deep breaths.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which
Very
is
inspiring.
which is kind of basic pranayama to just reset the nervous system, which I guess is sort of actually coherence breathwork. I'm quite. I think I only heard about it from your app.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
Ah, that's cool. Well, what you were describing with the balancing of the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. So it's not a relaxed state. It's more of like a gentle focus. That's the kind of state that we wanted to have the app to help to achieve. So people can use it at work, but also it helps people sleep. So it's sort of a one fit all. It affects people in different ways, I think, and especially what art and music you're listening to as well. If that resonates with you on a more relaxed level or more elevating level.
So, it's nice to be able to have that options.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's it. We need the artists need to have space to be able to create with integrity in how they have grown themselves into that artwork. So that's really important.
No, that's amazing that you don't really give a sort of guidance in terms of you sort of give a free exploration creativity platform, playground.
That's it. Trusting the arts.
Yes, amazing.
That's so cool.
I think I would struggle with it. I think I'm a perfectionist in my own way.
Yeah. It was it's a funny thing of because originally the first 4 galleries are all my artwork with the Mark who produced the music. But then once we kind of reversed it and made it about, okay, let's open this platform up now. The letting go process, just like breathing, it was very kind of, it felt natural to do. It felt the right thing to do.
Amazing.
So
and it's so diverse as well. I guess it's nice to be able to give that different variety and options to users as well to experience.
Absolutely, because art is subjective. So what resonates as like what's behind me might not work for someone else. So
I love it.
Yeah. And just like nature, all the species, all the flowers, all the, it's, people need variety. Variety is the spice of
Yeah,
life. So,
biodiversity.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, KiRa,
Okay.
thank you so much for your time today. And
No, thank you. So nice to meet you, finally.
yeah, you too.